What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the second deck profile on my channel. Today we're going to be covering a BlueEyes White Dragon deck made with the support from Shining Victories that will be coming out pretty soon. Now, let me just say off the bat, this deck is incredibly fun and actually surprisingly very good. I could definitely see this deck being successful, and like I said, it's a blast to play, and I highly recommend you give it a couple goes. So let's get into the cards. First off, you have 3 BlueEyes White Dragon. It's going to be your main card in the deck, obviously. The whole point of this deck is to bring him out as quickly as possible and have him set up your rank 8 and your level 9 Synchro plays. After that, we have 2 BlueEyes Alternative White Dragon. It's basically a free special summon as long as you have BlueEyes in your hand. 3 is a little bit too much because you need the BlueEyes in your hand, but I think you need to play 2. And you can search for this card using Melody, which is right here. We'll get into that later. And it also has a destruction effect, which you can use if you need to. Next up, we have White Spirit Dragon, which is another level 8 dragon that can be summoned a multitude of ways into this deck, and I'll show you those cards later. It can also banish a spell and trap card, which, if you're playing against pendulums, which means that does not go to the extra deck, it'll be banished for good. And I don't need to tell any meta players out there that that can be especially detrimental to them if they can't have their pendulum scale. So this is a very good card, and if its effect gets negated or it's being targeted by something, you have BlueEyes in your hand, you can swap them, which is incredibly helpful. And next we have 3 Ancient White Stone. This is better than the old stone that BlueEyes used to have, which I can pull up for you right now. You can compare the two. The White Stone of Legend. It's basically the White Stone of Legend on steroids, but it's still a level 1 tuner. So I highly recommend Ancient White Stone instead. Very solid card. You can use it as a discard cost for any of the cards like Melody of Awakening Dragon or Twin Twister. Obviously we'll get into those later. And it can really just help set up your board presence by getting more and more BlueEyes onto the field and bring them back to your hand to set up more plays. And obviously, like I said before, it is a level 1 tuner, which has a lot of synergy with other cards in this deck. Next we have Maiden with Eyes of Blue. We're going to play 3 of her. She's extremely helpful. She's basically going to be one of your main combo setters. What you're going to want to do with her is have her on the field. You're going to want to target her with one of your effects or have her be attacked, and she can just bring out a BlueEyes for free. Pretty simple, very good card, another level 1 tuner. Next we have Sage Knight with Eyes of Blue. Searches out Maiden if you need to. You can also search out Effect Veiler or any of the other level 1 tuners in your deck, which obviously is helpful. And it can set up your huge combo with Maiden, where you target Maiden, have Maiden's effect go off, have Sage Knight's effect go off, and basically you have a rank 8 play right there set up for you. Extremely helpful. I highly recommend this card at 3, probably one of the best monsters in the deck. Playing 1 Priest with Eyes of Blue. It helps you recycle your level 1 tuners if you need them, and it can also bring back your dragons. Unfortunately, this card is not good enough to open up with. You need cards set up in the grave already, so I recommend playing him at 1 because you don't want to open with him. He's really good mid to late game though, so 1 is enough. And we play 2 Effect Veiler, and that's simply because you can search for her. We move on to the spells. We have 1 1-for-1, that's a lot of 1s, but we also do have a lot of 1s in this deck, so very helpful card to bring out your Maiden, your Sage Knight, your Priest, Stone, whatever you need to summon. Next we have 3 Gospel of Revival. This is a new card, and wow, this deck would not be able to play without it, in my opinion. You can target a level 7 or 8 dragon in your grave and special summon it. That's already good as it is. But it can also protect them when it's in the graveyard. So you're getting 2 effects for really the price of 1 card, and you can play this card at 3 with no restrictions. This card really helps this deck go off, and I love it. I think it's probably the best card in the deck in my opinion. Next we have Trade-In, which is pretty obvious in this deck. You run 7 level 8 monsters, and they work pretty well in the graveyard as well, so draw power, send cards to the grave, good card. We have the Melody of Awakening Dragon. We're going to play 3 of them. Like I said before, you can discard your White Stone and have that effect go off. And you can add 2 Dragon-type monsters with 3,000 or more attack and 2,500 or less defense from your deck to your hand. That's pretty much Blue Eyes. You can add 2 Blue Eyes, you could add 1 Blue Eyes and 1 alternative Blue Eyes, which is what I usually do, because that means you can just summon the Blue Eyes alternative White Dragon, just like that. So this is a very good card for that. Next we're playing 2 Where Arf Thou. This is a dangerous card because you are taking 2,000 damage, which is considerably a lot, especially late game. But it can be worth it. If you control, say, a Maiden, which is a level 1 monster, you can add Sage Knight to your hand. So you're basically paying 2,000 points of damage to yourself for a rank 8, which, late game, that could mean the difference in the game. Early game, you could set up really, really good board presence, and that's very, very vital. You have 1 Soul Charge. There's obviously going to be a lot of strong monsters in the grave, so it's pretty obvious that you're going to want to use Soul Charge here. You can set up some pretty ridiculous plays with that. Next we have Terraforming, which is going to search out your field spell, which I'm going to skip to right now. We have Light Mausoleum, playing 3 of them. This card can do a multitude of things. Obviously, it's extra summoning effect that you can see on the screen right now. That's helpful. But my favorite use for it is to be able to buff your Blue Eyes, your Synchros, whatever you have on the field, and also be able to target your Maiden. So if you have Maiden on your side of the field, you can target it with Light Mausoleum and send a Blue Eyes to the grave. That means that your Maiden will have 800 attack, and you'll be able to use this effect and summon Blue Eyes from your deck, hand or graveyard. And go back to Twin Twister now. Playing 2 Twin Twister, you can discard whatever you need in the grave, which can be helpful at times, but this deck hates back row. So destroying those 2 spell or trap cards can be vital to having your plays go off. So highly recommend playing Twin Twister at 2. And last for the spells, we have 1 Silver's Cry. It's basically just another monster reborn for your dragons. And for the last card in our main deck, we have Jar of Avarice. This is just because you're going to send a lot of cards to the graveyard, and some of the effects, such as Sage Knight, can only summon from the deck, so you want to have those cards in the deck for those effects to go off. So you play 1 Jar of Avarice. If you wanted to play more, if you felt the need to, you could, but I think 1's probably enough. And that's it for the main deck. Let's move on to the extra deck. First, we have BlueEyes Twin Burst Dragon, which is basically only going to be used when you're pushing offensively. You need to get rid of monsters. And it can also banish, which is helpful if you're playing against a Pendulum deck. Only play 1 though, because it's rarely going to be an opportunity for you to summon more than 1. We have 2 Azure-Eyes Silver Dragon, which is basically just protection and helps you get your dragons back. Next we have BlueEyes Spirit Dragon, playing 2 of them. This is one of my favorite cards to go into in the extra deck. It basically shuts down pendulums. Neither player can special summon 2 or more monsters at the same time. That is huge. Plus, once per turn, it can negate a card effect in the graveyard. That's also pretty cool. And it can also bring out your next card for free, which is your Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. It can also bring out Azure-Eyes, but we're playing Moonlight Dragon because Silver Dragon can bring it out. This is basically to get rid of a monster on your opponent's side of the field that's a problem for you, if you need that. And if you have a level 1 tuner on the field, you can Synchro summon Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon with your Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. And as level 9 Synchros are easy to go into, you can play Phantom Fortress here. Your rare time, you need to go into it, but it's good to have it just in case. We have number 23 for our rank 8s. This is a really, really good late game card. It can help you finish off your opponent. You have Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand, good for protection. Thunder End Dragon, which I love this card. This is basically Judgment Dragon, and it's almost as easy to bring out in this deck. You just need 2 level 8 normals, which is basically just 2 Blue Eyes. We have number 38 as another option, number 107 as another option, and we have number 62 and GlazedAndConfused Full Armor Photon Dragon as other options for you to go into for your rank 8s. Now, this deck plays extremely well. I highly recommend you guys play this deck. At least give it a try. It's a lot of fun. I don't know how expensive it'll be when these cards actually come out. Probably, I would say it's going to be pretty far up there. These cards can be kind of pricey based on their effects. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. like, comment, and subscribe. If you didn't enjoy the video, let me know what I can do better in the comment section below, and I'll make sure I work on that for the next one. There will be a dual video involving this deck in just a couple days, so keep your eyes out for that, and have a really nice day. I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.